All right, let's review what it means to solve a system of equations. Basically, what we're doing here when you solve a system of equations is you are finding the point where those two lines intersect, the point of intersection. Now, we've already talked about how to solve a system of equations by graphing. Today, we're going to use what's called substitution. But let's review again, though, what happens when we do solve a system. Number one is that the two lines will intersect. That's what's going to happen most of the time. When they do that, you will get a point. That's what we were just talking about. Something else that could happen, though, is that the two lines could be parallel and we'll end up with no solution. And if they are the same line, we will get infinitely many solutions. So let's keep that in mind as we go through this section. When you solve a system by substitution, number one, always start with a variable that's by itself, an isolated variable. In number one, we have a variable by itself that's y. Number two, here's what I do to solve these. Put what it's equal to in parentheses. So what's y equal to? It's equal to 2x. So put the 2x in parentheses. Number three, substitute that parentheses into the other equation. So we're going to put this 2x in for this y right here. So I'm going to have 4x minus 2x equals negative 4. Solve the equation. 2x equals negative 4, x equals negative 2. Are we done? No, because we haven't found the point yet. What we're going to do next is substitute that number into the parentheses that you have up there from before, this parentheses right here. Put that negative 2 in for the x here, and you'll have y is equal to 2 times negative 2. Y is equal to negative 4. You'll have the point negative 2, negative 4. In number two, you have a variable by itself. Actually, you have two variables by themselves, but it doesn't matter. Take a variable that's by itself, the x, put parentheses around the 2y, and substitute that into the other equation. You'll have y is equal to 2y minus 2. How do you solve this equation? Get all the y's on one side. I'm going to subtract 2y from both sides. Negative y is equal to negative 2. Y is equal to positive 2. Put that 2 back up into the original problem, and you have x is equal to 4. You'll have the point 4, 2. In number three, you have a variable by itself. Again, it doesn't matter which one, just so long as you have a variable by itself. Put whatever it's equal to in parentheses and substitute that into the other equation. So the 2y minus 3 is going in for this x right here. So 2y minus 3 is equal to 2y plus 4. How do you solve this equation? Get the y's together on one side. But if you'll notice, something a little bit different happens here. The two y's cancel on the right side. They'll also cancel on the left side. So you're ending up with negative 3 is equal to 4. Well, that doesn't make sense, does it? Because negative 3 will never be equal to positive 4. Oh, that must mean that these two lines will never intersect. That means no solution. And likewise, what if we had something like this? What if we had 4x plus 6 is equal to 2 times the quantity x plus 3. Well, if we had 4x plus 6 is equal to 4x plus 6, if I subtracted 4x from both sides, I'd get 6 equals 6. Well, that's always going to be true. So all of these all these points would be in common. That means that they're the same line, infinitely many solutions. So when the variables cancel out and you're left with a false statement, the answer is no solution. When the variables cancel and you have a true statement, you have infinitely many solutions. Number 4, put the negative 4y plus 1 in for that x right there. Now, here's this 2 that's in the original problem. The parentheses negative 4y plus 1 goes in for the x. Bring down the minus 3y is equal to negative 9. Use the distributive property. Negative 8y plus 2 minus 3y equals negative 9. You're on the same, here's your equal sign right here, right? You're on the same side of the equal sign with negative 8y and minus 3y. Combine like terms, you get negative 11y plus 2 equals negative 9. Subtracting 2 from both sides, you get negative 11y is equal to negative 11. Y is equal to positive 1. Put that 1 back up into this equation right here. X is equal to negative 4 times 1 plus 1. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So if x is equal to negative 3, your point would be negative 3, positive 1. Number 5, x is equal to 2y minus 1. Put the 2y minus 1 in for that x right there. The 2y minus 1 goes in for the x in the other equation. So we'll have 3y equals 2y minus 1, and then bring down this plus 4. Subtracting 2y from both sides and combining like terms on the right side, you have y is equal to 3. 2 times 3 minus 1, 6 minus 1 is 5. X is equal to 5. Y is equal to 3. 5, 3. And lastly, in number 6, the 2x plus 3 is what's going to go in for the other y in the other equation. I'll have 6x minus 2 times the quantity 2x plus 3 equals negative 4. Distributing, I get 6x minus 4x minus 6 is equal to negative 4. 6x minus 4x is 2x. Minus 6 equals negative 4. Adding 6 to both sides. 2x is equal to 2. X equals 1. Put the 1 back up into this parentheses. 2 times 1 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. You have the point of intersection, 1, 5. And all of this is going to lead up to doing story problems. In story problems, there's a certain set of steps you need to go through. A, define 2 variables. B, set up a system of equations. That means write 2 equations. Step C, solve that system. Step D, make sure you're answering the question. Here's something very special about story problems, though, and you need to key in on this, and that is each sentence in the story problem will end up giving you an equation. So there will be 2 sentences. You'll end up with 2 equations. Now, number 1, in the NFL Super Bowl, there's where the AFC plays the NFC. There have been 31 games. The NFC, we're calling that Y. Oftentimes, a story problem will already define the variables for you. It did so here. The NFC, we're going to be calling Y. They've won 5 more games than the AFC. We're calling that one the X. How many times has each won the Super Bowl? Each sentence will give you an equation. So let's take a look at the first sentence. The first sentence is, there have been 31 games. Well, wouldn't it make sense that if there have been 31 games, that if the AFC wins plus the NFC wins, wouldn't that equal 31? Isn't that what we're saying? So if the AFC wins plus the NFC wins is equal to 31, what are we calling the AFC wins? Well, we're calling that X. Plus the NFC wins, Y, is equal to 31. There's your first equation. Let's look at the second sentence. Let's use this color. The NFC has won 5 more games than the AFC. Now, sometimes when you're writing these equations, key in on the verb, because the verb will give you the equal sign. Well, has won is the verb here. There's your equal sign. Well, the NFC, Y, has won equals. Now what we need to do is translate 5 more games than the AFC into a verbal phrase. What does that mean? How would we write 5 more than X? X plus 5. We now have a system of equations that we know how to solve. We're going to use substitution to put X plus 5 in for the Y in the above equation. So we'll have X plus 5 equals 31. That would be 2x plus 5 equals 31. Subtracting 5 from both sides, you get 2x is equal to 26, and then x equals 13. Well, what does that mean? Well, we're calling x the number of AFC wins. So the AFC must have won 13 times. And if the NFC won 5 more than that, well, that would give you 18. Always check your work to make sure that things do work out. They do here. They added up to 31 games. You've solved your problem. The base of a triangle is 3 inches shorter than twice each of the other 2 sides, which are the same. What do we mean by the base? That's the bottom part of the bottom side of the triangle. The other 2 sides are the same, x and x. The perimeter of the triangle is 25. What are the lengths of each side? Well, again, going back to the old saying that we need to write an equation for each sentence. Here's one sentence. The base of the triangle is 3 inches shorter than twice each of the other 2 sides. Where's your verb? Is. The base of the triangle. What are we calling that? Y. So Y equals, how would you write 3 inches shorter than twice each of the other 2 sides? Well, the other sides are called x. Twice that would be 2. Twice that would be 2x. 3 inches shorter than that would be minus 3. So y is equal to 2x minus 3 is your first sentence. Let's try the second one. Here's your other sentence. The perimeter of the triangle is 25. Well, how do you find the perimeter of a triangle? Well, you add up all 3 sides. So we have x. You have x plus y. That would be 2x plus y. So 2x plus y must be the perimeter. That's 25. We're going to take the 2x minus 3 from above, put it in for that y right there, and we'll have 2x plus 2x minus 3 is equal to 25. 2x plus 2x is 4x, minus 3 is equal to 25. 4x is equal to 28. X equals 7. So if each of these sides is 7, how long is the base? Well, put the 7 back in here for x. 2 times 7, 2 times x, 2 times 7 is 14, minus 3 is 11. Do those 3 sides add up to 25? Yes, they do. Number 3, we have a little bit of a misprint here. Take out the word triangle. We just have two sides, excuse me, two angles that are complementary. That means they add up to 90. The second angle is 10 more than 3 times the first. Find the measure of the two angles. Two angles are complementary if they add up to 90 degrees. The second angle is 10 more than 3 times the first angle. Find the measures of each of the two angles. Well, in this case, as a little bit different than the above problems, in these other two up here, we've already defined the variables. We did not in this one. But it doesn't matter. I always go with the second one first. I don't know why. But anyway, the first angle, let's call that x. So x is the first angle. Let's call y the second angle. It doesn't matter, just so long as you name them so that we'll know what we're talking about at the end of the problem. Now, two angles are complementary if they add up to 90 degrees. These two angles add up to 90 degrees. That should tell you what one of the equations is automatically, and that would be x plus y equals 90. But then it says what? That the second angle is 10 more than 3 times the first. There's an equation there. That's our sentence. We need an equation from it. Well, what are we calling the second angle? This is really a reason why we need to define our variables here. We're calling the second angle y. Here's the is, circle that so that you know that it's the verb. There's your equal sign. So is the equal sign, so y equals. Now, how would you write 10 more than 3 times the first angle? Well, the first angle we're calling x. 3 times that would be 3x. 10 more than that would be plus 10. So y is equal to 3x plus 10. Again, using substitution, we're going to put the 3x plus 10 into the first equation. X plus 3x plus 10 is equal to 90. 4x plus 10 equals 90. 4x is equal to 80. X equals 20. Well, what is that? Well, that's my first angle. How do I know? Because that's how I defined it in the first place. That's the reason why we need to do that. Define your variables so that we know what we're talking about at the end. And if the first angle is 20, the second angle must be what? 70. Because we take 3 times 20 is 60 plus 10 is 70. Do they add up to 90? Yes, they do. So your assignment is the assignment sheet that you have on your assignment page, page 394. And to see what you can do with page 4 of your notes, see if you can answer these 4 story problems. Have a good day. We'll talk to you next time.